The Saints got a nice win over the Carolina Panthers, but I do have a bit of a conspiracy theory. Let me tell you today on the Louisiana Lunch Hour podcast. And welcome everyone to the Louisiana Lunch Hour podcast. Appreciate you listening in as always. And it is a Let Me Talk to You Tuesday. And I'm kind of wanting to look at what happened with the New Orleans Saints getting a nice win over the Carolina Panthers on Sunday. First off, Tyler Shaw has really shown himself he is deserving of being the guy to lead this team into 2026. We've talked about that a lot on this podcast, but I want to kind of hit on a few particular things. Mainly the final moments of the contest that was an impressive final drive with the Saints getting extremely lucky with a incredible sell job with Kellen sliding. Panthers player hits him. It's a 15-yard penalty, first down, and you have a chance to stop the clock. And more importantly, get in prime position to kick a field goal for the dub. It was very refreshing to see that. There's no doubt in my mind, but somewhere in my head, and this is the way my brain was going through things. I was out at Chimes watching the game live with the missus, and I will tell you, it's not often I'm watching a game with the missus, and I sat there. I was like, oh, he's hurt. Like, this is not good, because it was pretty much like he got laid off of that. Like, right when I saw him get hit, I was like, yep, that's not a good sign. And it kind of has me thinking, and obviously he shrugged it off. He kind of sold it. I think he definitely deserves either an Emmy, or if this whole football thing doesn't work out, I think the WWE may be giving him a call, especially with John Cena hanging up the jorts one final time over this past weekend. I do want to talk about what's going on with this game and with that victory. And it kind of made me think. And maybe the tinfoil hat and the black helicopters are a little too snug right now. But I thought about this. Did Kellen Moore do this purposefully and risk having a star quarterback get injured for a win? Now, again, luckily, nothing really happened. You had, Shuck sit out for one play. Spencer Rattler got thrown in. He just more or less threw the ball away. And then it was set up for a field goal to get the dub. Like, you pretty much got set up in prime position after that big hit that wound up giving you an automatic first down. You got set up in perfect position to get a field goal. It was just a little concerning, and I wonder aloud about Kellen Moore. Again, he's playing at this point with house money. Like, you aren't going to make the playoffs. You have nothing to lose in a sense, but everything to gain all at the same time. That's the interesting part of what we talk about when it comes to this New Orleans Saints team. And I think everybody has this debate about whether or not the Saints should lose and just tank. Honestly, I just much rather let the results play out with, Tyler Shuck at this point. Because if you look back at the beginning of the season, this Saints team, if the ball bounced a couple different ways, this team could be having them 6 or 7 wins. And that's how I feel with this Saints team. You look at their schedule, you look at the record over the course of the entire 2025 season, they have everything set up to be a team that could be having 6 or 7 wins. You start off the season, go back at it. Start off the season against the Arizona Cardinals. You lose that by a score, mainly because you couldn't get it done with Spencer Rattler and this offense. Gave him a fair shot. Same thing with the game against the 49ers at home, 26-21. I feel like if Tyler Shuck was as good as he is right now, and he got put in the position that Spencer Rattler was in those first 2 games, that'd be 2 wins right there. Honestly, you weren't going to win the Seahawks or the Bills game. Those can be talked away. Win or go over against the New York Giants, really nice. I feel like you could have won the game with the Patriots. Again, there's at least 3 or 4 ball games that if they go a different way, you are standing at a 7-win team. And yes, I understand everybody wants to tank to go get some big name quarterback. I've been saying this for months, and I think a lot of people are going to start realizing why I've been saying it. You do not need to go get a quarterback in 2026. You have your guy in here. Whether it was going to be Spencer Rattler or Tyler Shuck, you got to give those guys a shot. Because at the end of the day, just go ahead and draft a quarterback every year is not going to work out for you in the long term, brother. It's not going to work out at all. You look at what the Cleveland Browns did. They pretty much had to go through 4 different quarterbacks before finally deciding, fine, we'll go ahead and put Shadur in. We'll go ahead and put the ultimate Nepo baby in there, and we'll figure it out from there. You have 2 you had 1 mediocre quarterback and 1 that is looking better. And I think in 2026, if you can figure out a way to get some more picks and more importantly, work the free agency to a certain level and get some dogs and some weapons for the young man. I say young, he's about to be 28 next season. You have something to work towards. You have something to build for 2026 and beyond. I think Shucky's might have a sophomore slump, but even then, the Saints team has never been prone to tanking. Last year may be the ultimate outlier because 1, you have your head coach getting fired. Number 2, your quarterback, Derek Carr, truly proved himself to be a lemon of a QB. And everything else was falling apart at the seams, even though the team started 2-0. I think a lot of people were like, oh man, this team's not going to win more than 2 or 3 games. Next thing you know, you have 4 wins in the season. And it feels like you're on the other side of the tankathon at this point in time. And I know many people aren't necessarily a big fan of that. Now, currently, tankathon.com has them slotted in the 7th slot. So you're still in the top 10, but it's not where you want to be. It's not where you want to be if you're a Saints fan that embraces the tank. I have never been a person who believes in the Saints having the ability to truly tank. Do I think they're going to be a top 10 draft pick? Absolutely. And at the end of the day, I think that's good enough to go get you a dog, be it a tight end or a wide receiver in the first round. Get somebody that's going to be an absolute monster. Don't trade up. Just focus on the picks you got. And I feel like this team can do some really good things in 2026 because the pieces are there and they're starting to build. And it's refreshing to see. It's refreshing to notice this Saints team looking better with the young man in Tyler Shuck, a guy I wasn't necessarily sold on. It's a pleasant surprise and it's a great thing to see. I'm not going to hate on a team getting a win, especially a team I root for. I will never understand people that want to see a Saints team tank. If you're a fan, I don't care what the team looks like. I feel like you should want to see them win, and that is the bottom line. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. You want to see your team win. If you're a fan of the Saints, the Pelicans, seems like the Pelicans don't ever want to win. Whatever fan, whatever program, team, franchise, whatever you're a fan of, you want them to win. You never want to see them lose. You never want to be rooting for a loser. You never want to root for a tank, right? At least I never necessarily understood that, especially when you look at the draft class outs out there. I'm not sold on one Fernando Mendoza as being the savior of any franchise. He's a good quarterback. I can't be sold on a guy from Indiana. There's just so much that I can tell you right now with this Saints team there's some positives. I'm just very concerned about Kellen Moore putting his star quarterback at risk for long-term injury. Thankfully, nothing happened, but it had me thinking. I think there's something to be worried about whenever you have a QB, especially in that situation. That was playing, the system for like a fiddle. But I guarantee you, and I understand this is a league where if you breathe on the quarterbacks, you get penalized. There's going to be somebody that's seeing that, especially the Carolina Panthers when they play him again in 2026, where they're like, you saw what he did to us last year? He was acting like he got hurt. Let's hurt him for real. That's how I think about these kind of things. I'm hoping that does not happen. But I feel like seeing him more or less flop, I feel like that's going to cause some problems and some strife for fans, for teams, I should say, that will be playing against the Saints in the foreseeable future. And I want to kind of flip it over. If we're talking about New Orleans, we need to go to the team over in the Crescent City on the basketball diamond, and that is one Joe Dumars. The New Orleans Pelicans, they got a win the other night, but it continues to kind of maybe make me think, Joe Dumars, I feel like should be gone by now, right? But at the same time, very similarly to what's gone on with Mickey Loomis, because of the friendship that he has with Gail Benson and Mickey Loomis as well, and, the front office, the higher-ups, I firmly believe he will not go anywhere, even though he should. You have that absolutely ridiculous pick that, yes, wound up leading to you getting some good rookies in Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fears. I'm still just perplexed and befuddled by that decision to go that route. I could be completely off base here, but that's where I see things with this Pelicans team. You got a nice win over the Chicago Bulls on Sunday, and they have a little bit of a layoff, which is going to be nice. But then you play the Houston Rockets. You've got the Indiana Pacers, Mavericks, Cavs, and Suns. And that'll take you all the way up to the day after Christmas. Where's a win there? And you gave up a pick that could have been a great use to you in 2026 in the first round. Because that draft lottery, those balls could bounce. Like what we've seen with the Saints. Those balls bounce around in the lottery tumbler. They could go the right way. You could wind up with a number one pick if you didn't give it up. Again, it all worked out in a way. All worked out. But how often will lightning strike twice? That's how I see things with the Pelicans and the situation with Joe Dumars. I can't trust the guy as far as I can throw him, but I am going to be intrigued to see how long he stays in the Crescent City. That'll about do it for today's edition of the Louisiana Lunch Hour podcast. Appreciate you listening in. And if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to us wherever you get your podcasts, as well as on YouTube. Have a great rest of your Tuesday, everybody.